fun first day. Exciting for me to get out here with this group, and it's been a good build-up. We had 9 weeks in our winter program, really focused on, we had to gain some weight in some key position areas. We had to get stronger and really trying to get this team connected and work on fundamentals. And then today was really our first opportunity to go out and practice and play the game of football, the reason why they're here. And a lot of energy. We've got good depth across the board. And so the spring, we're going to have a lot of good competition. And we got to learn how to practice a little better, but that'll come. So excited. Brett, start us off here.
Yeah, just a housekeeping to start off spring here. Is there anybody out due to injury for the course of the spring?
Yeah, so put me on the spot here. Let me think about this. So we had C.J. Coombs was out early. He's out today with a little soft tissue injury. He should be back. Dylan Shaw is still coming back from an injury from last year. He's limited, and we're hoping he'll continue to progress. Connor Vaughn is recovering from off-season surgery. We hope he will be back here next week doing some things. Doug, anybody else that? Yeah, Jaheim is going to do some individual. He won't be any contact during spring. Avion Carter had off-season shoulder surgery. He will miss the spring. Yeah, he will miss the spring. Zach Johnson, transfer. He had off-season shoulder surgery. I'm hopeful he'll be able to do some stuff. Indian group, he won't have any contact. Anybody else? I think that's it. Anybody in particular you wanted to ask about?
No, just make sure we didn't miss anybody. Yep. Anybody changing positions or any kind of?
No, we're all new, Brett. So even if they were changing, it'd be new for us too.
Yeah, and then you also donated quite a bit of money to the program. I'm assuming that it was for NIL.
No, it was really just for our current guys here, and focus was really on nutrition. It goes into our Greenlight Fund, which funds the football program. But it was really for guys that are already in the program that we can do some things from a nutrition standpoint. And I think it's important. We're going to have our annual day of giving here at UNT. And I think the number one leadership principle is people do what people see. And so I think it's our job as leaders within the football program, as the leader of the football program, is to do what we're asking other people to do and step up and donate to a cause that I think is worthy for not only our athletic department, for our university, but also for our community.
Oh yeah, now we get to the good stuff here. So it's your first practice, your first time in North Texas. You've done this 2 times before as a head coach. What was it like to be out there for your first practice in the program?
Fun, excited to be back. I'm excited to be back leading the program. This is, to me, what it's all about is the actual practice. We say here in our program, practice is everything. We're a practice sport. So 12 guaranteed games, but we have OTAs in the winter. We have spring football. We have summer OTAs, fall camp. It adds up, and we practice 5 times every week. And so we're a practice sport. And I think my background, my parents being teachers, and they were in the classroom, I'm on the field, but it's the same concept we're teaching. And so my favorite times of the year are spring football and fall camp, because you don't have the pressure of the game. You can really teach, and it's kind of cool, especially here early in the spring. Guys will make huge jumps between practice 1 and usually practice 4 or 5. And so I'm enjoying it. It's fun. I think these guys, we've got a good mix. We've got some returning guys on the team that haven't played as much football as they would like. We've got guys that are making a significant jump up in competition level that had success at lower levels. And then we got some guys that were at a higher level that didn't play as much, that are coming down. And so we've got a lot of really hungry individuals that are ready to prove themselves.
And what's different about this time than maybe the previous 2 times you started out of the program?
Yeah, I think you should accrue wisdom, right?
Yeah.
You should accrue wisdom. So this is year 11. This is the 3rd time starting. This is totally different than the others. College football has changed dramatically. So the unique thing here is this is an entire staff that we chose. It's nearly a completely new football team that we were able to evaluate and choose for the most part. So that part of it's different. But I think the blocking and the tackling, the fundamentals don't change. But I should be better. The longer you do it, the better you should be. And And so, but it's fun. You know, I really enjoyed it. I enjoy this group. I think we got a real chance.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it being a whole new team. What are the inherent challenges of that and just starting from scratch like this?
Connection. That's the biggest thing. You know, this is the ultimate team game. And so we've got to do things from a off the field standpoint that we're intentional, where they're getting to know each other. And I think it has to go in stages. You know, I think you just throw 100 guys together and all of a sudden they're close as an entire. It starts at the position level. That position group has got to be really close. And we have 11 position groups here, and they've got to be really close. And then it goes to each unit. So really in the offseason, the winter, the focus is on that position. Now it goes to the unit, offense and defense. And then as we get into summer, we're going to put them in position where they can get to know all the team, and we can really grow together over the summer.
And do you have more to do this time around than maybe some of the other times that you started out like this?
It's always busy. You know, it's always busy. The unique thing for me is this is the first time my family hasn't made this transition immediately. And there's some good and bad in that. From a work standpoint, you're able to work some longer hours. But there's also this part where you don't really feel completely whole because everybody's not together, right? Mm-hmm. You're watching kids' games on iPads and things like that, and it's different. So that part of it is probably the biggest difference. But there's always unique challenges. You know, we are. I don't know if it's drastically different than the other two times. But probably the biggest difference, the family just didn't make the change right at the time.
Are they moving in?
Oh yeah, they're coming. Yeah, they're coming. I've got one that's graduating from high school in West Virginia, and she's playing softball. And the right thing for her is to be able to finish. You know, it gets lost. People forget in all these crazy coaching professions, and they wouldn't trade it. They live a blessed life, but there's a lot of switching schools, and so she's back in West Virginia, finishing her senior year and playing softball. And they had opening day yesterday. They won, so that's positive. And then my younger two are finishing in Austin, and they'll be here at the end of May.
So what, you woke up in an empty house the day before first?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I've got a couple of roommates because these a couple of the coaching staff that just moved, they're staying with me. So we're in like bachelor pads.
Oh, that's cool. Who's crashing with you?
So who I got in with me today? Sean Reagan, who we're getting ready to announce. He's coming on board as a special assistant. He's the main one. He's coming on special assistant to the head coach. He was the offense coordinator at Troy the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess one other thing I want to ask you about is you head into a pretty significant quarterback competition battle, whatever you want to determine. How do you handle that over the course of the spring?
Well, the first thing I'll say, Brad, is I believe all three of them can play, mm-hmm. and we can win with all three of them. And they're all different. Great guys. Really enjoyed being around them to this point and all the off-season stuff. They're all at different parts of their career. You know, Taven's in a different point of his career than the other two. The neat thing is that all three of them played in high level high school programs. And they all won in high school at an extremely high level. They've been at other places, or they've been with other offensive staffs that are high level. You think about Eric and his group last year with CJ. You got Ditta, it was East Carolina, with John David there, who's gone on to Ole Miss. And you got Taven, who's been with some really good people, you know, Indiana being one of them. And so they're guys that are further along maybe than sometimes you get them. But we're splitting the reps pretty equal. You know, Taven took the first reps today. I think it rotates tomorrow. Somebody else takes the first reps. And we'll try to keep it pretty even and give them all a good chance.
I want to know, you're living with these coaches. It's one thing to work with them. It's another thing to live with them. What are some things that you've learned about these guys living?
Well, we did it big early, and now everybody's kind of getting to their own spot, so we're down to only a few. The cool thing is when you make these transitions, the only people that really understand it totally are the ones that are doing it with you or have done it in the past. And so there's a lot of long hours right now because we're playing catch-up in recruiting. You know, getting ready for spring ball is one thing. We've got a huge junior day on Sunday. And so we're really playing catch-up with this 27 class. And so that's taking as much time in the evenings as anything. But it's one of again, it's a positive and a negative. Positive is you get a lot of staff chemistry time right now, and you're growing together and getting to know those guys. The bad thing is some of the families don't transition until after the school year.
And then kind of first time around the block, what are some strengths and weaknesses you identified early in this first practice?
Yeah, we run well. You know, I knew that in our winter program with our GPS, we hit some really high speeds. So we're a team that runs well. We're hungry. We've been coachable and teachable. We were coachable and teachable today. I think some of that has to do with us being an older group. You know, this is an experienced group. Now, some of the guys haven't played as much football, but they've been in college football for a longer period of time than a lot of the teams I've been a part of. The negatives are we've got some weight goals to hit. You know, we were a little thin when we started in January. We've made progress, but we've got to continue to do that, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Who are some guys that kind of pulled your focus today that maybe shocked you a little bit?
Well, I'll start with the returners, and this is kind of when we had the we talked about our roster for the first time. Is I really believe that some of the returning players here at North Texas kind of get overlooked. Maybe because they didn't have as big a role last year, or because they weren't part of the transfer class. But defensively, Bryce Garza, he's had a great winter. He had a nice pick, our interception in our team period. Baron Tipton on offense continues to do well. Amari and Barry at offensive guard. I think we've got some guys returning on the D-line that have a real chance. And there's some guys that are older that have played a lot of football. Taven Jackson had a really nice day one, which he should. You know, he's in his 5th year of college football. He should. He's done this before. I thought that Nato and Johnny Williams at tackles today, they were really under control. Again, they should. They've been in, one of them's been a 5-year guy, one of them's been a 4-year guy. On defense, I think on the D-line, we've got a couple guys there that are physically mature, and they've played a good amount of football at different levels, but they've played a good amount of football. I thought they showed up. And then I think Davila really made a couple plays, nice plays on the ball today too. You know, Keyshawn did.
Coach, you kind of get a breakdown on all those different quarterbacks, but what kind of traits are you kind of looking for in that definitive starter eventually?
Yeah, we want someone that can make decisions. You know, a decision maker that's accurate passer, that can make plays with his feet, and that's why all 3 of them are here. And they all have those skill sets. They're all 3 really good athletes. You know, Chris is a little bit different just because of the speed, but Taven and Ditta both are really good athletes in their own regard. They've shown the ability to make confident decisions, and all 3 of them can be accurate passers. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
With so much newness on this roster, just how open are all these positional races at the spring camp?
Oh yeah, the positive thing from a coaching perspective is we have competition. Outside of kicker and punter right now, because we're really limited on our roster, but outside of those 2 positions, you know, everything else is wide open. So that makes it fun. It makes your practices better. You know, when you have competition and guys are really working towards spots, it makes your practices much more competitive.
You mentioned a bunch of guys in terms of the returners, but also that 4 class who may have been in college football for a while but not seen the field as much. With how much kind of unknown there is with those kind of guys, you know, how's the evaluation process so far with those guys because there wasn't as much tape?
Yeah, well, the thing for us is most of those guys that have transferred without much playing experience, we knew those guys, either myself personally or someone on our staff. Think about Henry Fanuku, played for Coach Gates at North Crowley. So he played very limited reps at Missouri on the offensive line, but Ray coached him in high school, so he has as good understanding, a better understanding of anybody than what he's about. And that's just one of many type examples. So there was some type of relationship with somebody on our staff for these guys that haven't played as much.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
No, thank y'all. Yep, y'all have a good
All
rest.
right, Johnny, so first day of practice, how did it go?
Practice was good today, you know. A few things we got to work on, but overall, it was a great day of practice, you know.
What makes you feel so positively about it?
I mean, I'm always positive. Like, every day you see me here, I'm always smiling. I'm always talking to people, so everything's pretty positive. Ain't nothing really bad to me.
That makes sense. And you've got a bit of a background with Coach Brown. So what was it like to be out there with him at a new stop for the first time?
Can you say that again?
What was it like to be out there with Coach Brown again?
It was great, to be honest, like being back here with Coach Brown. Like, I was with him at West Virginia for 2 years, loved the staff, and like I was at Missouri, came here, I was like, you know, why not be back with my guys? So pretty easy transition.
Well, you know him better than all of us because you were with him for 2 years. So what do we need to know about Coach Brown as he starts his tenure here?
He's a real team guy, real personable guy, and he's gonna love the fans up. He loves the fans the most, you know, and you know he's an easy guy to love and like.
Yeah, you feel like you guys have some good pieces here, players-wise, as you come into this?
Yes, sir.
Have you just gotten to know those guys? What makes you feel confident in just the players that you have?
Really, like, we all come in, we all come from different backgrounds, but we all ready to work. Like, you know, we all have different reasons why, like, that we want to be here. So I feel like we all got an edge on our shoulder a little bit.
You feel like this is going to be an eventful spring for this program, just considering how many decisions have to be made?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very eventful. You know, there's a lot of competition going on. So we play football, it's a competition sport, so who wouldn't like to compete every day?
John, you were giving your insight on Coach Brown, you know, as a person, but just need more insight to just kind of him as a coach and the kind of identity of his offenses in previous years.
I say the identity is like, you know, we like to run the ball. You know, he says his thing like he like to run the ball a lot, but we're gonna get it done in the pass too. So pretty spread offense.
So, and then just when you kind of zooming in just on this offensive line group, just how do you kind of evaluate it overall so far?
You said it again.
How do you kind of evaluate this offensive line group so far?
I mean, we're a pretty strong group. We're pretty connected. We do a lot of things together. So, you know, we hang out at my house. I grill. We'll just chill a little bit, and we're a pretty connected group, and we want to work. So, ready to get it done.
So, who's kind of stood out to you in that position?
Well, I really say everybody. Everybody, you know, good at what they're good at, and nobody really just, yeah.
So you mentioned it, right? Where there's competition across the board. Just how do you kind of view that in this spring?
You said it again.
You mentioned that there's plenty of competition across the board. How do you kind of view that as a player when heading into this kind of new program?
I mean, any program you go into is going to be competition. So, I mean, everybody's going to be evaluated, and it's a good evaluation process throughout the spring. Going to the fall camp, we're just going to put our best guys out during the season. So, ready to see that.
What were some things that you saw today that the team needs to improve over the spring ball season?
Can I pass on that question? I don't really know nothing like. I mean, I can say, it's first day of practice, so I mean, things we can pick up on is like our energy in practice. You know, getting it going a little bit, but we're a pretty energetic group, so I'm sure we won't have no problem with that.
Do you have any cool memories of playing with Coach Brown?
Cool
that
memories.
illustrated his personality, things that stand out to you?
I know during the summer, like when we was in West Virginia, we used to always go to his house, chill on the lake, and riding the boats a little bit. He'd cook. He had a pool in his backyard, so we just chill there a little bit.
Just kind of a player's coach.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of his personality. Okay. All right, Zakai, so how was the first day of practice?
Oh man, first day was good. Just a lot of energy. Everybody's just excited to be out here, excited to get the opportunity to kind of mesh and see what this thing looks like when we put it all together. I think from day one, this was a day that was circled on the calendar and what it would look like. And I feel like in a lot of ways exceeded expectations. And in a lot of ways, it's just you would look at it and say it's day one. And you would find a way to go back to the drawing board and fix the mistakes and get back to it. But the energy and the effort was just exactly where we wanted to be. So,
what was it that made it exceed expectations?
say again?
What was it that made it exceed expectations for you?
Just from an execution standpoint, this is a new defense. You go into it usually, and you get to this point, and you have a defense that's been established, and you have coaches that have been established. But I feel like we've done a very good job of finding ways to fit time in, to learn the fundamentals and learn the scheme and be able to put everything together. But to actually go out and execute is two different things, and when you draw it up on the board. So I think in a lot of ways we can walk away from the practice like happy that we're able to run plays and be smooth and efficient in certain type of ways. But there are also just some fundamental things that just happen on day one. Same thing when we play game one. There's also things that happen on game one that's like, okay, that's game one. We need to find ways to get better and improve. I feel like today was a win though, regardless.
Oh, for sure. And you've probably got a better perspective than just about anybody on this roster because you played a lot of different places and played a lot of ball.
Sure.
What do you see out there? Do you feel like you have a lot of good pieces as you start?
I'm excited. I'm very excited. I think in some of our sessions before this first practice, you can tell we have some pieces. And then to see everybody go out there and make plays and find ways to show their athleticism and find ways to show how they think and react, it's definitely impressive to see. I think the biggest thing that anybody on the team or any coach will tell you is like becoming a team and meshing and becoming one. We have every piece that we need. I don't think there's a doubt about that, but it's more so how can we mesh and how can we spend time outside the locker room? How can we build a bond that where we all play off of each other's strengths and we pick up for each other's weaknesses, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because is this going to be an eventful spring just because of all the decisions and all the bonding and everything that's going to have to go on for you guys to get to where you need to go?
Yeah, of course, very eventful. I feel like when you stand at the beginning of a journey, you always look towards what's ahead, and we kind of stand at the bottom of a mountain looking at the peak. But when you also look at what we have to go through to get there, I feel like that's just as important. I feel like it'll be very eventful just to see how we can take where we are right now and try to develop and get better every day. Like you said, there's a lot of moving pieces coming in here, from players to coaches to the staff outside that surround us. It's just important that everybody is just dialed in on the same goal, and I feel like we're right there right now. But also taking steps forward in the same direction, holding hands, and that's what's going to be important for us.
Yeah, and also this is Coach Brown's, first practice here.
Yeah.
Well, what was your impression of him as you guys get out there on
Yeah.
the field for the first time?
I feel like we all have like the same impression of Coach Brown. From the day we met him, like really good dude. Like you can tell he cares about us. He wants to put things in place for us to have success. And I feel like that's when you have a coach like that who cares about you, you're willing to do anything for him. I can kind of say the same for especially my position coach, Coach Peeve. I love him. I feel like he'll do anything for our room to put us in good positions. And same for the DC. Like they all find ways to help get us better, but also we know that they care. And I think that's what matters to us as players is knowing that your coach cares. So yeah, it's pretty much the same thing since we met him.
Yeah, so you just feel really comfortable with him?
Yeah,
out there?
he's just been consistent. He lays out his expectations. He lays out what happens if you don't follow the expectations, and you can respect that. Instead of it being something where you don't know, it's like you know what I expect out of you every day, and we also know what to expect out of him and how he's going to maneuver his decisions. So, and I think it'll be good for us.
Defensively, who are kind of the players that have kind of excited you the most so far?
From watching today, the players that excite me the most, I love seeing Caden out there. Caden Jenkins, he came from Baylor. He just feels like he's living on an island out there by himself. Obviously, Aaron, he plays linebacker. He was wearing number 7 today. I feel like his feet, like just being able to watch him and grow with him, he was somebody from day one. It was like, okay, I feel kind of comfortable with you. Like we can talk about certain things and how things work on the field. And then watching him, his footwork is just very precise. So he's always in the right spot. And I think that's what matters, especially at linebackers, being just precise with your footwork and knowing where things are. In the back end, both of our safeties, I'm comfortable with them. And obviously our D-line, you got JB up front and you have Zoe in front as well. I feel like we'll find ways to mix around pieces, but we'll also find ways to get the best 11 on the field. Coaches have a hard job. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. So, yes, it will be eventful to see how that plays out. For sure.
You mentioned that, the spring camp and summer and fall are all going to be ways where you guys translate that vision that you guys have, during recruitment and all that. Can you speak a little bit on that vision and what was kind of told to you about the identity of this defense? Yeah,
they've told us from day one that it's all about the bond that we build and what can we do with all the pieces that we have coming in. We're going to have plenty of talent, but how can we become closer as a group? So I think while we in spring right now, it's about putting your talents on display and everybody being able to show who they are on the field. And his big thing right now is the tape doesn't lie, and that's you've heard that everywhere you go. So right now it's about putting your talents on display, and then once we get out of spring, it'll be back in the training mode, and we'll have some breaks in there. And it's about kind of bonding and getting back in the weight room. And I think Coach Diaz has done a great job just kind of bringing us in. Like there's been a lot of things in the weight program that we did like kind of a survey of hands. Who here has done something that they've never done before? A lot of us raised our hand. But it shows that we trust him too. And I feel really comfortable with him. I trust him. I feel like he has our best interests at heart. I feel like he's going to work us and push us, and he has. And I think a lot of the things that you'll see this spring will be because of the work that we've done the past 3 months. And then to get a full summer with him will be really good as well. But also, like I said, that bonding piece and making sure we spend time and making sure that we care about each other and being able to build that up before we actually put this thing together is going to be huge for us.
What was kind of the staff's kind of mission for your phase of this defense? Obviously, you've succeeded at this American level before. Just what was kind of their thoughts on you? From day one, it was kind of pitched to me that I would kind of love the defense, and really we built the relationship first. Honestly, like while I was in recruiting, it was all about the relationship that I can build with Coach Peeve and Coach Pollard. And those are the things I kind of took note of. Being in this defense right now,
I can say it's a fun defense. Like, I feel like I fit it very well. I think it tailors to my strengths. I think it covers up, it allows each of us to play off of each other. And I feel like that'll be something that'll be good for us. I feel like all the linebackers we kind of recruited it helps them and helps their strengths. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for big plays in this defense as well. Kind of the vision for me was just to come in and be myself. And I feel like I wanted to be in a place where I could be myself and could lead. And I didn't have to shut my voice down or anything, but I could lead, I could talk, I can help others learn, and I can also learn as much as I can on my own. And try to take this thing to a championship. That was the vision from day one. Host a conference championship is what he told me, and go to the CFP is what he told me. Two things that he told me over and over, and it kind of remained consistent throughout this spring portion. It will remain consistent all the way to when we make it.
So, what are kind of the small things that this defense allows you to take advantage of it and put you in the best positions?
Yeah, I think it's a downhill defense, if that makes sense. I've been in defenses where I had to sit and I had to flow and I had to wait and be patient and take my shot. I just love shooting my shot and pulling my trigger. That's kind of my game, and I feel like this defense, especially with the D linemen that we recruited, it allowed me to get downhill fast in a hurry and fit in those gaps how I like to, and kind of get off blocks quick. And I think a lot of it is if I need to pull a double team off a D lineman, I'll be scot-free as well. We have a lot of things with Green Dogs like adding on and hug rushing the quarterback and creating lanes for linebackers where we can get sacks as well and get involved in the sack game. It's not just about the D-line, but linebackers want to have sacks too. So I think that's the motto. We're going to force a lot of turnovers this year. We're going to cause a lot of havoc. And I feel like it starts with everything that we're doing now and everything kind of with the progression that they've been teaching us starting in January as well.
This is something that maybe we can look back on later, but based off your very early impression, like what are some things you think fans should be excited for about this team?
I think we're very, very fast. I think that's something to start off with to be excited about. We're fast. We're hungry. We're a hungry bunch. Everybody has come from a different background, a different group. And when you take time to talk to everybody, they all just want the same thing. They want to win. And we have a group that wants the same thing, and it's not about them, but it's about the team and how can we push the team to win. That's when you have a dangerous group. Not when it's just about talent or what can I do or what can I do, but how can we all win together. A lot of the meals that we have, we sit and talk and we get to know each other. And I feel like that's been important for us as far as that bonding piece that I was talking about earlier. But just, I feel like we have a hungry group who wants it. And I feel like I said, we have a fast group, but we also, when the pads come on, we need to have a follow-up conversation about how physical are we. And I think it's going to work out. So I'm ready for it. We spend a lot of time working in that weight room, and I know it's going to come together for us.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.